Good morning all, hope you're doing well. The big picture with risk on, there's 4 people short in indices versus the 1 person buying, so they're still net short. We have come quite a way off that extreme though, so it's worth noting, and the 24-hour difference is indicating that the herd are selling over the last 24 hours, so that sort of helps the big picture. Now the technical scores are 48 out of 100, and that's been reset. Above 50 then we could be risk on, technically speaking. And this is how we finished on Friday, so a little bit of a mixed picture where the yields fell, dollar rose, individual tech companies rose, like with the Nasdaq, but however the Dow Jones and the S&P and the Russell 2000 small caps fell. So it was a mixed affair on Friday. It could be a similar day today, and we're going up to Powell's speech as well, so it could be a little bit of uncertainty up to that risk event. And the possibility of a government shutdown might be fixed. I think it's down to the Senate, but we'll have to wait and see. And it looked like it scared the herd on the 24 hours, which helps the big picture. Right, so if the small fry, the small fish are doing one thing, the big fish are going to do the opposite. QDB scores, we'll sort this out now. EJ at the top, and we can ignore gold because we haven't got data for some of the stuff, so we can ignore gold, but Aussie Kiwi is at the bottom, which makes sense. We're negative with a poor score, we're positive with a good score, so be careful for EG because that can be quite nasty. We had an indication that it was going to do quite well last week, but it fell and it ignored the QDB scores. Okay, dollar yen, dollar Swiss, dollar CAD are at the top. Right, we've got quite a lot of pound flags down there, the UK flags. Okay, the Euro USD is quite weak as well. We've lost some points, and they're quite extreme as well. In fact, they're very extreme in a lot of pairs down here, so you've got to be careful. Let's bring that across. I've just got a message, so I just ignore that. I need to close my Telegram because you don't want to read my messages. There we go, that's closed. I think, yeah, that's closed. Let's bring that across. So sideways in the S&P, so there's really not much to say there, but they are selling it, so you could look for a long with a stop here. It might be a bit tricky. You could wait for that to break, perhaps, you know, that high, and look for a retest and a bounce. But they are selling it, so got to be careful. We're a little bit sided. What we want to see is a nice crossover like this, and then you get a good move, right? But at the moment, we're not really making a good crossover, but we could potentially make a nice cross. It will depend on what happens. US 30, and they are selling it, so therefore we're getting a, you know, punishment box here, where we should be above this candle high, the fact that they sold it, so we should be, you know, above this one. You could look for a stop here. It's a little bit wide, in fact it's very wide. Yeah, it's like 280 pip stop, so you wouldn't, I don't know, you'd have to be very, very careful. But you know, we're crossing over to buy at the big picture. Okay, so just be really careful. We're just chopping, and it's pretty nasty there. DAX, and they'd sold it. This is the scary news event, so you know, we can create a box here, and up we come, and looks like they're selling it again, which kind of makes sense because, you know, if we fall, then they're probably likely going to sell it, and you know, inevitably it'll fall enough, and then it'll just surge higher. But we're tracking alongside the MA a little bit, so we're not getting a crossover, but they're both descending in parallel. So likewise with the US indices, you could wait for a break and then a retest. That might be okay. So up, down, up. So don't buy it on the first time it breaks, but buy it on the retest for a bounce, and then we'll know. You'll know with more confidence that it's going to be okay. And we've got a doji candle here as well, so perhaps there's you know, we can create a box here, potentially like a supply here, potentially. We had a reaction off it. And gold, and then we'll look at the robot. But there's not much to say about the robot because it hasn't opened up any trades, which is okay, and that's fine. The bubbles need to move a certain distance away, and there's our sell set up here with the crossover, and we didn't really cross over since. We tried to, oh, we did here initially, so we went from here on the 25th to here on the 29th. There was 4 days of it not crossing over, so that would have been a fantastic trade had you caught it. And that's the QDB entry and exit system. So we were looking at shorts, but we got stopped out. We had a silly, very tight stop. It was about $3 or $4, and we got stopped out here. We had a wider stop, which would have catered some nonsense. We would have done amazingly well. So let's show you the robot, but that's fine. It's one of those things. It was a theoretical trade. It wasn't like SLTP, you know, in Discord. It was just, you know, that could be a good sell here, and it was this wick here that caught us out, but it's okay. And robot is there. We're just flat. There's no trades currently, but there will be some later. And that's it. So that's today's video. Thanks for your patience with the robot. Be careful with things today, because we've got the power speech, we've got the PMI, and we've got a busy calendar ahead as well. So I wish you a good day, and I'll speak to you guys soon.